Alright, what's up everyone? This is Ethan, back as promised, feeling strong, feeling healthy, and today I've got some super simple but really effective modifications for Padmasana, also called the lotus position, and these are going to be really useful for students who are beginners, who are quite suddenly confronted with this pretty extreme leg position, students with a bit of tightness around the hips. They just want to gradually and sustainably build towards a practice of full Padmasana, and for all students who just want to back off from these positions for the short to medium term, which would be a very highly recommended thing to do if you're experiencing injury or a bit of pain specifically around the knee. I'll also invite you to go ahead and watch my other tutorial from a little while ago, which deals with how to safely get into and out of the full version of Padmasana, and between these two videos you'll have something that you can follow for just about every step along the journey towards this most highly coveted yoga position. So to modify for the single leg Padmasana positions, the ones that require that you only take lotus on one side, what you can do is just avoid closing the knee joint entirely. So you can hold that leg at a right angle, keep the foot flexed, which will send some engagement all the way up the leg and protect the knee, and you can keep that foot flexed throughout the pose itself as well, but setting it up, you would take the ankle across the opposite leg and then continue to fold forward from there. The same type of modification can also be used for the standing version, so to speak. Actually a completely different pose. That would be Ardha Padmasana, and in that version you can slightly bend the standing leg, which will really help you get into the mobility of that hip. You can actually tangibly feel the muscles around the hip releasing as you hold the pose. That also gives you the opportunity to place both hands down on the ground for some extra stability, and I wouldn't worry too much about the fact that this doesn't look exactly like the full version of the pose. I think using the modification also presents the opportunity for the student to actually feel their way into, hey, I'm actually just using this as the body work that the full version of the pose is supposed to provide, rather than having the whole experience of, I'm really trying my best, this hurts, I've been working on it for ages, it just doesn't look or feel the way that it's supposed to, and that can be quite a frustrating experience, and ultimately using a safe modification might end up getting you there faster in the long run anyway. So this same type of modification can be used for the full Padmasana positions, and I suppose if you're going to fold forward from there, then the specific pose that I'm looking at is Yoga Mudra in the Ashtanga finishing sequence. And what that would look like is that you just take your first leg into that position, and then positioning the second leg on top, you'll try to align the ankle directly above the knee, and on the other side the knee aligns directly above the ankle. So the shins draw the straight line in front of your body. If this looks a little bit extreme, then don't worry, I'll give you another variation in a moment, but actually for most students setting this up, there will still be this little bit of space in between the knee and the ankle on this side, and what you can do about that is just lift the seat all the way up, lean as far forward as you can, trying to close that gap, and then place the front of the sit bones down on the floor and continue to fold forward from there. If that gap still persists, or if you're just not comfortable in this version of the pose, you could use the cross-legged variation, and what that would look like is just both knees aligning above both ankles, but again the shins draw the straight line in front of your body, and that demands much less of the mobility of the hips, and it's usually a lot more accessible to most students, and then you could continue to fold forward from there. If you're still experiencing discomfort in this version of the pose, then you might start to look at elevating the seat a little bit, so you could sit on top of a folded blanket, maybe a block if you have one of those, a pile of books, a chair, on top of someone's shoulders. The sky's the limit. Just do whatever it takes to relieve yourself of that sensitivity around the knees, and then the idea would be to just gradually increase the version that you're using, so using one that requires a bit more mobility in the hips, just as long as you feel comfortable in the variation that you're using. For the Padmasana positions where you're just sitting upright, I wouldn't worry too much about the modified form for that. I don't really consider that to be primarily a hip opener as a pose. The benefit of it comes more in that it holds your spine in this really lovely position for deep breathing, and allows for a bit of a meditative experience towards the end of your practice. So you could use that version where you have both the knees above both the ankles. You could just take whatever comfortable cross-legged sitting position feels right for you. You could take the knees wide like Sukhasana. So there you have it, modifications for just about every step along the way to full Padmasana. Of course, this list of modifications is absolutely not exhaustive. There are loads of other modifications out there. Some of them are really good ones, and some of them might be even more suitable for your body and what you're dealing with at this particular time. The best way to figure that out would be to work with a teacher in a traditional Mysore setting, but I'll just leave that to you if you have the luxury of working with a teacher, or otherwise you can just have a play with it and just maintain the mentality that you want to feel comfortable in whatever version that you're using, and allow for the long-term process to unfold. Okay, thank you so much for watching the video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, if you thought to yourself, I actually kind of like that video, why don't you solidify that intention by going underneath the video, giving that like button a quick jab, subscribe for more videos, and then I'll see you in the next one.